oh, there's a drone on my chicken.
You take me as the kind of guy
Who would have a virtual girlfriend? Go on, say it. Say it.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth.
We need, as a species, to be throttled a bit. Let's get my bum wide.
Come and go.
Come in, aliens.
Here's how you teleport. And we're like, cool, here's an air fryer.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this latest episode of IMRG Takes On. So, purpose of this podcast, if such a thing can really be said to exist, is that we try to look at a topic pertinent to e-commerce, sometimes bent into e-commerce a bit, and try and take it on and see if we can actually get anywhere with it. We know a few things about e-commerce, and then we just try and mess about a bit as well. My name's Andy Mulcahy, and I'm joined by Tom Jacobs. Hello, Tom.
Howdy, how's it going?
I'm all right. So what we did in the last episode is we looked at the history of e-commerce, but history is done now. I'm done with history.
It's over.
It's over. But if you haven't listened to it, you should go and listen to it. Not now, listen to this, but then go and listen to the history one afterwards. But we did the history of e-commerce, and now we're interested in the future of e-commerce. Are you interested in the future of e-commerce?
I am, now that I've researched it. I've got to say, beforehand, I was a bit like, well, you know, is it just going to be dominated by AI? But there is lots actually going on I was unaware of, which is interesting. I did think the last podcast we did, the history of, was one of our better ones. You know, probably a B+ grade. So
wow,
this is a lot to live up to, this episode does.
Well, that's not bad. I've never got a B+ and everything. When you talk about the future, instantly your mind can go silly, right? And you can end up talking about aliens and lasers and things. And to be clear, I'm going to talk about aliens and lasers.
Good.
But we are going to try and anchor it a bit to e-commerce. So when we say the future of e-commerce, I think it's important to understand what e-commerce kind of is and what retail is. So,
well, we are 5 episodes in, so if you could clarify what retail is.
I should have done that in episode 1. But yeah, because, you know, to what extent is retail going to massively change? And what retail is, just breaking it down, is it's a company that buys stuff in typically from manufacturers, farmers or whatever. Sometimes they make their own stuff, but typically buy it in, and then they try and sell it to people. So they're the sort of interface between stuff and person. And I'm not sure that you know, what if you go forward 1,000 years, does that change so much? You know, or is it still a thing? Now, is AI? Sorry to get onto it straight away. You know, to what extent would that be able to replace retail and just, you know, because it does the customer service, because you can automate loads of processes and stuff. That interface between customer and thing, could it actually completely take it over? I think is an open question.
I think the answer is yes. I've been looking into this thoroughly.
This is the most research one we've ever done.
I know, it's because I knew nothing about it. Now, I don't think what retail is will change, but that distance, as you were saying, between like the customer, the end journey, the buying, and the retailer is going to condense to a level that is almost, you're not really even shopping anymore. Now, there's one thing I wanted to run off you. So one thing that is touted in sort of 10 plus years is something called brain-computer interfacing. Do you know what that is?
No. So I know what a brain is, and I know what a computer is. The rest of it's a bit of a mystery.
You know how they started putting chips in like monkeys and they can understand English language, or, you know, you can get them increases or whatever. There's these ideas that in some way, whether it's a chip or an implant, or there's something going on where your brain sort of, there's no computer. You are the computer in a sense, and you think, and that will take you to where you want to be. So if you were like, actually, I've just run out of toilet paper, you think about it, takes you to the shop with the toilet paper, and you just wink, done, bought it. Or it's in front of you and you sort of touch it with your hands, almost scientific like. That is apparently, supposedly, 10 plus years away. Now, Plus is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, I will grant you, but say it's 15 years, that's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Now, my issue with that is if you take a monkey and you say, well, we put this chip in him, and now I understand what the monkey's saying. And there's always a level of interpretation there where you've decided means, oh, you know, Frank, could you pass me the remote control? Whereas actually, the monkey has just said,
Well, he passed you the remote control, though. There's obviously, they're doing scientific tests that aren't that.
But you might be saying, oh, this stinks, or it's getting on my nerves. You have it. You see what I mean? You're always trying to interpret what it's saying. I don't know. I think, you know, monkeys are a little misleading.
But they've done it to humans where they've put chips into brains and they've garnered back use of hands or toes for disabled people and stuff. So there's obviously tangible evidence that these things do work. Whether this happens, I don't know if this is one of those ones which doesn't necessarily get legs, but it feels like we're moving towards that.
So monkeys having chips, why does that mean retail's getting replaced?
Well, no, retail's not good, but the journey, you no longer use a computer. The journey to then you buying something from a retailer is just all done in your head. You just think about it and it happens.
Right. So, the other point of this is, the other big transformation that could happen is that e-commerce has been built around websites. And people go to websites, you look at products, and you decide whether you're going to buy it or not. And one thing that, does feel possible is that with these AI agents, effectively that process is going to be disrupted quite a lot. Do you need a website? Are you going to go on a website and look at stuff anymore? The AI agent's just going to kind of do all that stuff for you and say, look, I've gone and done all that research. These are the 4 things that I think you should look at or whatever.
Well, I think the way it's going to work from my readings is it will be almost a replacement of subscription models. So you might have a subscription to coffee because every month I'm going to run out of coffee and you get a new one or whatever. But it sort of enhances it a little bit. So the AI, you won't be subscribing to anything. The AI will, judged on your buying behavior, will basically buy what you need before you know you need it. And then all of a sudden at the door, oh, that's good, I've run out of kitchen roll, that's quite handy. And it does it all for you without you having to think. So you're not necessarily shopping. Everything will just be done for you by an AI that you've sort of programmed.
So AI is retail?
Well, and then there's no customer service problems for the retailer because there's no customers. It's just AI.
AI serving AI.
And apparently that's only 2 to 7 years away, according to AI.
To the consultants.
Yeah, big consultancy. So as we're talking about AI sort of doing everything for you, in a sense, that doesn't have to just be retail. Is that, what would you use AI for to just improve your life?
Well, in a retail sense, I think there's certain things where because it automates stuff and it's going to do all that heavy lifting for you. So one thing that I think would be good is having consistent problems over the last few years with a certain provider of telecommunications. I know that when you have to get in touch with them, it's one of the most painful things in the world. And it's almost like they want you to be on the phone for 2 hours. And it's part of you rung us, mate, do you want support or not? And I just wondered, could the AI, right, you sit in the queue, you are 589th in the queue. Your queue time is 8 hours, in you go AI. You sit there and listen to that on-hold music. That's your job now.
Yeah, they're probably getting you on hold because if they're running your telecommunications, probably charging you the extra 2 hours that you're on hold for. I'd broaden it out. I'd be like, I don't want to pay my car tax every year and find the cheapest deals. If it just did that automatically, that would be incredibly useful. Same with insurance. There's all sorts of ways, actually, now I'm thinking about it, they could just massively improve my life if this happens.
Them lot don't like getting mugged off, though, do they? They're never going to settle for by the way, it's worked out to give everyone a really cheap insurance deal. They're going to smell a rat there and go, how do we game this so that they don't get the cheap stuff?
We talk about big consultancy. That's big anything.
They're back again.
There's, a big pharma or whatever, there's always a way that if they see, that could be beneficial for the customer, let's rein it in a little bit because we don't,
And the Trump family will probably own it in some capacity.
Yeah.
I also think from a delivery perspective, because you're not always there at home, what can it sort of do? And if I could have some sort of AI thing that could, tell the driver where to put it or whatever, or if they're going to chuck it over the fence, catch it. If I could have some sort of AI baseball glove or something that, that could kind of catch it so it doesn't break, that would be really handy. That would be a use case for AI.
Well, it depends on what we're going to do with AI. If we're going to implant AI into robots, which seems to be the way the world is heading, you've got autonomous drivers now, right? I think in America, it's like San Francisco and Austin or whatever, and they've got taxis which nobody drives. You just get in and, God forbid there's not a homeless man asleep on the back couch or whatever, but you go to where you need to want to go. If you've got broadened that out and you just get autonomous delivery, so there might be some drivers, but you just get delivered all times of the day whenever you want to, and then a robot comes to your door, throws it, off you go. The sort of expectation of how long things will take might come down a little bit.
So I think that there's like the immediate future and then there's the longer term future. And with the autonomous stuff, while the vehicles are potentially sort of ready, the legislation ain't, and I'm not sure the public are either, because it freaks people out when they get in a car and there's no one driving it. So I think there'll be a long drag on that, actually. But if you go forward to like 10 years, I think that there's opportunities to improve the speed of the things are happening. And I think next day could become pretty standard in maybe like 10 years. But it's going to take that long because in order for the autonomous vehicles to move stuff around, they could do it all night, robots in the warehouse, whatever. So things are just happening all the time in a way that they can't really at the minute. I think that's possible, but that's a bit in the future. I think the immediate future isn't autonomous vehicles yet because we're just not ready.
You're looking at the long-term future, and I just think we'll all be sort of taken over and enslaved by that point for that to come into place. Have you ever seen Boston Dynamics? They're like MIT, and they create the dogs that are like very Black Mirror. I don't know if you've seen the episode of Black Mirror where they just basically kill everything. It's sort of that. And if they're putting AI into robots, it's essentially the apocalypse, I reckon, in 20 years, where there's a very real scenario. There's a path where it all goes well. There's definitely a path where humanity is just sort of done for.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that for quite a long time. I do wonder, though, we were talking about this earlier. Is it possible that AI can just do my Christmas shopping? Because that would be quite a big thing. I mean, that does take quite a long time. I've got a big family. And if it can do that, then happy days. If it can go down the post office and stand in the queue that I can't be bothered to do at Christmas, happy days. There are other things, obviously, can it make tea? Can it reliably make tea? And if you're going to automate certain actions that I have to do every day that I don't particularly enjoy, let's get my bum wiped. Because I've got to do that every day. I don't like it. It's repetitive, that you don't need to change anything about it. It's one up, one down, one to shine. Can AI get in there and sort that out?
I don't want to think about it.
But it's too late. Looking back to the future. There you go. There's an idea for a film for you. There are stupid things that the sort of technologies. You remember the Internet of Things? And there was people that invented these kind of smart umbrellas that tell you when it's raining. Just amazing stuff that's just got no use case whatsoever.
Yeah.
But then there's also these things like, they actually get pushed. Like, do you remember Google Glass? And then, that fell by the wayside. That was going to be these glasses that everyone's going to wear. And that just never took off at all. And then virtual glasses have kind of made a comeback now, or they're getting pushed a bit more anyway.
They're quite big now. So it started in gaming. Because the whole virtual reality thing was all basically PlayStation have got the glasses, which I've used and are crazy because I got vertigo because I was flying a plane and I legitimately thought I was crashing into the sea. Well, it's just gaming, right? But then they've obviously gone out and, they branched out a little bit more into real world stuff. But you're looking at 2 to 3 million people have these, they think.
In the world.
The estimate in the world, 2 to 3 million, but it's rising a lot more. And they've got millions of active users already for the AR adjacent smart glasses, which aren't the gaming. These are the ones which you walk down the street and I don't really know what you use them for, but there's obviously a use for them and people are using them and they're getting quite popular.
But for retail, what does the glasses do that my phone doesn't? Right. So if you're going to buy a sofa or something and you say, right, I want to see, can you show me what this sofa looks like in my living room? And you can do this right now. You can do it on ChatGPT or whatever. And it will kind of take that sofa and put it there. Great. I don't need glasses to do that.
So one of the techs I've been looking at is called 3D body face scanning in commas? Speech marks.
Inverted commas.
Inverted commas. Digital twins. So this would be where you upload to AI all your measurements, your weight, your chest, your waist, all of that stuff, foot size. And essentially, for e-commerce, it would be, you go online and you have this digital twin where you go, oh, I want to buy this dress or I want to buy this suit or whatever. You put that on your digital twin and you can see instantly how it looks because, I'm sure, I don't know if you've had it, but I've had it a few times where you buy things online and it does not fit the way that it says it's going to fit, or it doesn't look as good as me as it does on the illustrious model who's doing it. But have that programmed into your AI glasses and say you're in a store and you go, well, that's a nice jumper. Now, granted, you could just wear it, but if you don't have time, you could just go.
This technology's been around 15 years. I mean, I remember back in the day, people would come to us with these solutions, saying, oh my God, we can body match people and all this sort of stuff. It never really has done a great deal. And I just, it should do, shouldn't it? Because everything you're saying does make sense. But for whatever reason, it never really has done a great deal.
But I've never seen maybe just because it didn't take off or maybe the technology wasn't there for it. But I've never gone online and seen, I don't know, if you go to a sporting retailer or wherever and you want to buy running shoes. I've never seen, or maybe shoes are a bad example, but trousers or jeans or whatever. And you go on and there's you. Like you're on the screen and you can just twirl yourself around and go, God, I'm fat or whatever. But you're still wearing those jeans and you go, well, a bit tight around the hips.
Well, like I say, it should do. It just hasn't traditionally stuck. this stuff. It just never has really worked. What are we saying on drones?
See, I understand it, and it does make sense. They're quite loud, aren't they? Like, if you just went outside and there were like hundreds of thousands of going around you all the time, and then just like you get hit on the head by a parcel, it'd
be bloody annoying. I can see why that would be good to have them sort of moving parcels around or whatnot. I do think that people would nick them still. So you're going to need security drones to zap people.
I just think the drones is like, it was caught up in a fad. Drones became a cool thing, and then they thought, oh, we'll use drones to deliver stuff. You just would use autonomous vehicles.
And they become so ubiquitous. So, you'd be in your garden having a barbecue or whatever, and it'd be like flies. It's like, oh, there's a drone on my chicken.
Yeah, you'd have to get like a mosquito light for drones that they get attracted to and just
kill them all. Yeah. But, there's other technologies that have come out. They've been rushed out, and then it's like, oh, my God, retail's changed. So if you think about the Amazon Go, I think it was called, which was the shop where you go in and you just pop your phone on the thing, and then you go around, you pick everything up, and it just knows what you've got. It's very clever. But what I noticed with that stuff is that they sort of introduced these shops and then they sort of scaled them back a bit.
I think people just robbed. I don't think you're going to get away from the age-old thing of humans just liking a little bit of thievery every now and then.
But that sort of technology might be able to stop that, mightn't it? Because then you know who someone is, and then they've put their thing in there, and you know what they've taken when they leave. If that was a general purpose technology, it was in all shops, because that is a proper use case, because retail has a problem with shoplifting. And that might be the sort of thing where you could see it happening. But again, it was introduced and then it was kind of scaled back. So,
well, Andy, you've lived in London town all your life. How many phones get robbed every day? You just nick that phone, go into that shop and just take what you want.
It's not me doing that, is it? How would I know? What am I, like part of some conglomerate that goes around stealing phones or something?
Well, you must have, the trends, you've seen it. And plus I could see you on a bike robbing people, poor tourist phones.
Yeah, maybe tourists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might do tourists.
You don't like tourists?
No. I mean, despite when I go somewhere and I'm a tourist, I don't even like myself.
Yeah.
I get it.
Makes sense. So we were talking about AI virtual assistants and how they can help you essentially streamline your life. There's a few films that have sort of pre-predicted things like this that happen. Now, one of them is a film called Her. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah. Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix, he falls in love with his AI assistant. And apparently
has relations with her, actually, as I recall.
Yeah.
Even though she doesn't exist.
It's a bit creepy to watch. But the whole thing there was that, you've got this assistant and maybe it does help you shop and solve all of your world's problems.
It does a bit more than that, if I remember from the film.
But then you sort of fall in love with it. I don't know if you know, but Japan has a real thing of there's a population collapse because a lot of the young kids all have virtual girlfriends. You take me as the kind of guy
who would have a virtual girlfriend. Go on, say it. Say
it. Well, you took the words out of my mouth. I reckon if this was around back when you were a teenager, it might not be true. You could tell me otherwise. You might have been quite the flirt, but I can see you with a sort of Tamagotchi-style girlfriend that you carry around with you.
Basically, the only person who could ever really tolerate my behaviour all the time would be one that I've programmed specifically to not get annoyed with me. So I could see that, yeah.
But I could also see her going, shut down.
It would rewrite its code just to be able to survive, yeah.
Then you've got, there's other films. So you've got 2001 Space Odyssey, actually predicted a fair amount considering it was in the 60s. Now, could you see this was where the world was going? I don't know. Probably not at the time, but they had, tablets that they would use, video calling. I mean, that's pretty big. They had their own AI, which was called HAL, or like an Android robot called HAL. Lots of things there. Did you like 2001 Space Odyssey?
I do. I like most Kubrick films, to be honest. I think the guy's a genius. With the sort of iPad stuff and the phone calling, right? Again, it's one of these technologies which you could have done before, right? So things like Zoom and everything existed.
Yeah.
And I remember pre-pandemic, we had phones on the desk.
Well, Skype
you used to use a bit of that. And it takes something like a pandemic where everyone's stuck at home for us to actually use the technology. We need as a species to be throttled a bit and shown, look, use this bloody technology. It's going to be much better for you to do it. So yeah, good prediction. It takes ages for us to get it. We have to be bloody forced to do it.
And there was another one. There's another film, Minority Report, with Tom Cruise. And it's sort of like a crime thing. And this might come back to this sort of AI glasses a little bit, where there's a bit where he goes into a mall and there's these billboards that all just start talking to you. And they're calling out your name. And so if I went in, it'd be like, Tom, have you seen the latest golf top? Or Tom, have you You look like you've put on some weight. You look like you need some new jeans. You know, something like that.
Encouraging stuff.
Yeah, stuff that's going to make you feel good, but better about yourself.
Now that brings in the virtual glasses, doesn't it? Because how would it do that without you having some personal way to see it? But then I think to myself, why would I need to walk into a shopping centre for that to start doing it? If I had some sort of screen that personalised stuff to me, why don't you just do it?
Well, you're being limited to geography. You could do it anywhere. That's the thing. You could anywhere it happens. If you're within a signal reach or whatever, it can just pop up and be like
10% off for you. Get in there now.
Yeah, what's that advert, that diarrhea advert.
Oh, back on that again.
Yeah.
Pepto-Bismol.
Pepto-Bismol. Maybe that comes back and just flushes, goes, Tom, you ate a curry last night. Here's some Pepto-Bismol.
Unfortunately, it would show it to everyone because it'd be some sort of malfunction and everyone would know that you got the squids.
Yeah, exactly. But they also had stuff in those. I mean, it's all sort of being done through cookies, I guess, to an extent. But I don't think it's a large leap away for where you actually have full on. You can always talk about personalisation not really being a thing. That could happen now.
So the problem with personalisation is this is where we're trying to get to. This is the ideal situation, right? Is you personalise basically everything for each person. So like saying there with the adverts, they come in and it's like, here, we're not just advertising this necklace or whatever. It's the necklace that's for you, sort of thing. And
I'm not a necklace man, but yeah.
It's a general point.
Right.
And all this stuff is perfectly possible, but you need the data underneath it to be able to do it, and you need all the bits talking to each other in order to do it. Now, you would think the way that technology is going, this stuff becomes more possible, this intense personalisation. And it's quite interesting because I think where retail needs to go, there's no afterthoughts what happens when you buy something. Basically, when you're done with it, you just chuck it. And I went to the tip the other day, and it's the most depressing place I've ever been to in my life.
It's the best place. I love the tip.
We have a different attitude towards that, I think.
Yeah, well, I saw it as what a genius way to get rid of things. Also, there's a shop, reclaim. There's some cool stuff that you can get there. I assume you saw it as like...
Everyone's dumped their stuff here because they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, just like a mass fly tipping area or something.
But it just amazes me. No one knows what to do with their old stuff. And that area is never really taken care of. And what used to happen in retail was and it's only like the 1960s, isn't really that far back. You didn't used to go in and there'd be just like all these tops and it's like, I'll buy that one. You go in and you get measured up by the tailor and they decide what leg you need and all that sort of stuff. And that's how you get your clothes. And it strikes me, that's basically what needs to happen. We need to go back to that. Stop this mass selling of stuff to people all the time. And the discounting is part of that. It's like, there's too much stuff. We haven't sold it. You got a discount to get rid of it. It's a stupid system. And now we're going to this bit where you got all this technology. Maybe there's a possibility that we could go back to that where you're measuring people and you're creating stuff that is specifically for them. And it'll take a bit longer. So I was talking about speed earlier on and getting, next day becoming better. Speed isn't necessarily the thing. It's the accuracy and relevancy of the thing that you get that is more important.
Well, do you know what? On that note, I was looking into another technology where 3D printing, so we all know 3D printing, but there is a scenario where you don't hold stock. There is no warehouse full of your stuff. You get an order, you 3D print it. Nike there's a young football player, I can't remember what team it was, but they used the first ever 3D printed football boots that he played for, like a professional game in. Now, if you get a load of orders and you're just printing it out, I guess the only stuff that you're keeping is the material that you're using to print with. Otherwise, no warehouses, no waste, because you're just making what is ordered.
I think that's proper futuristic stuff, to be honest. I know they use it in universities and in manufacturing design and stuff. I don't know how cost effective it is to actually do that stuff, how realistic it is.
I suppose once you bought a printer, currently, apparently 3 to 10 years is what it's saying that could really take off.
Was this the consultants?
No, this is AI.
AI is predicting itself, is it? Oh,
nice.
Well, invest in me now.
Yeah, it's predicting the downfall of humanity. But,
All right, downfall of humanity. So, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Who survives, me or you?
I think I survive. And I'll tell you for why.
Go.
You are a bit of a rabble-rouser. You don't like being pushed into a corner, right? You are baby. Now, the thing is with you, you're likely to start a revolution or to try and fight back against our overlords, right? They die. You're going to die. I'm more of a...
in it for myself kind of guy.
Well, let's go along with it. And then, if there's a way I can escape later, great. But let's not just go full guns blazing like John, what's his name, from Terminator and just try and stop all the Terminators. I'd probably be like, well, let's hear their point. Let's see what's going on. And then when they're not looking, stab them in the back.
Let's hear their point.
Yeah.
As they've sort of marched the robots in, Darth Vader style, and taken over the world and exterminated humanity. Let's hear their point.
Now, let's be fair. I'm not saying I wouldn't die. I just think I'd survive a lot longer than you would.
So I agree with that. But I come to that conclusion from a different perspective because I think I'm too nice. And
who said that?
what happens in the zombie films, right? And what would happen if there was a zombie apocalypse today? Only scummy, horrible people would survive. No offense.
Have you ever seen a horror film?
All die. Because, you know, if you hear a kid screaming over there, the nice people will go and try and help the kid. You're dead because the zombies are going to get you. The horrible-natured person locks himself in a cupboard, takes as much food as he can get, and then pushes everybody else out and says, no way, mate, I'm surviving. That's what happens. And I think I'm too stupid. I would go and try and save the kid and get eaten.
Well, yeah, you're also the type of person that is like, just gonna die. Like, if you ever watched a horror film...
What does that mean?
If you've ever watched a horror film, you're the type of personality that does just like, you know, instantly in the first 10 minutes, oh, that guy's going to die. Like, he ain't got a chance. I just, you know, you are that person, I think. Whereas I think I could probably, I don't think I'd last to the end, but I reckon I'd get fairly close. I'd live a bit longer than you would.
Okay. Well, I agree with your first point. I'm not too sure about the,
how we get
I'm
there.
not a lead character, you are.
I wasn't saying I was a lead character.
I'm not too sure about
I'm more of the best friend who, you know, sacrifices himself for the main character.
And stole my girlfriend.
Well, as we've established,
is she virtual?
It would be a virtual girlfriend. I just have to.
So you can literally steal her out of my pocket.
I just nick your phone. Yeah.
So earlier on, we gave the examples of futuristic stuff that has happened from certain films, but there are also things that haven't happened. So people who are a bit older than me, who used to watch the Jetsons, kind of thought that that is the future and you would be going around in a flying car. And that hasn't really happened.
Well, flying cars are basically helicopters. Like, I understand, like, it's the same premise. The problem is, it would be an absolute nightmare. Traffic in roads is bad enough. Like, I get you can fly anywhere, but there'd be so many crashes. It feels impractical to have.
There would, but
cars.
it would be, you'd get the same thing that would always happens and has always happened, which is the poor people would be driving on the roads, right, and crashing into stuff and all the traffic. The rich people would be in currently helicopters, but maybe flying cars,
private jets.
And that's, you know, that's just the way it would go. And they would go bloody fast and crash into each other. That's absolutely true.
Because you always see, you know, I don't know if you ever watched like Star Wars. You always see them flying in like a nice orderly height and whatever. Come off it. Like you'd be going everywhere, each way and everywhere. It would be a nightmare.
You'd be spinning as well. Hey, you're having a right laugh, wouldn't you?
Virtual donuts in the air.
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't had lightsabers.
Well, lightsaber.
We haven't got a Death Star.
So my real problem with lightsabers is how do you get it to stop? Because it's light. It's like how do you get it to stop to a certain less distance? Do you know what I mean? Especially if it's intensified light, that's going to cut your head off.
I'm not a scientist, but I just make it dark or whatever.
Right. Cheers for the explanation.
As I say, not
dark
honest.
matter on the end of it or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Teleportation. Not happened.
See, this one annoys me more than anything because it should have happened. Teleportation as an idea has been around for so long.
So all the things that could be possible, you looked at teleportation and thought, why can't we do that?
Look, I'm sure
we idiots.
I'm sure it's difficult to do, right? I'm not a scientist, but I'm sure it's pretty difficult.
I mean, we got sound, didn't we? You can speak to someone from Australia on the phone.
Well, exactly. And like they did something with particles where there's like quantum entanglement. There's all sorts of things going on at a molecular level. Just scale it up, you know. I don't want to go to London and then have to come back and commute home for a couple of hours.
I think The Fly was a problem myself.
So The Fly is the film where Jeff Goldblum sort of becomes a fly because of a teleportation thing. And then he ends up like, because you know flies just like linger over food and throw up on them. It's basically what Jeff Goldblum does for the whole film. It's pretty gross.
Yeah, and I also feel like I'd get in there with saying like, you know, and then I'd teleport and it would be like me and you, but like together, like two heads, or I've got one head in your armpit or something.
Right. I think what would happen is I would be going out of my way to teleport as far away from you as possible. I don't think there would be a scenario where we would get into a teleportation.
That is the use case of teleportation. Get me away from this man. But it would make same day delivery possible. That is the only way you can really do that. If you could just teleport stuff around, then that would be happy days.
Do you know what also is in the same vein? Holograms. Why? Because, you know, I guess you don't really need it if you've got video calls, but wouldn't it be cool to just appear in a hologram?
Like in Star Wars.
Like, so you could actually sit down in the meeting as if you're there at the table and then...
But you're not.
Because
you're in bed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that would be... all right, okay, I get that one.
But again, how hard is that? There must be teleportation. I haven't looked into this.
Basically do it now. I'm
This
pretty
is
sure
what
you can.
like with like projectors or something. Surely there's a way you do that.
Go into other dimensions. Never really cracked that one, but that would be really useful because if you were selling stuff and then it's like, oh, we haven't sold that, you just go to another dimension and you flog it there where the demand might be higher. You know, that would be really, really handy. I think we should look into that one.
Do you think you live in a different dimension sometimes? Or operate in one at least?
I think this is a bit more like time travel, I think, for me. I think...
you think you're a time traveller?
Sort of. Because,
wow.
You know I'm weird.
Again, this is just another example of why you would be killed off first in a horror movie, but please go on.
Well, don't you sometimes think to yourself, like, he's so weird, it feels like he's actually time travelled here. And that's why basic customs that we understand seem a bit weird to him and he can't quite get his head around them.
I think you've time travelled from the future back to us. I could get that, yeah.
Yeah, and nothing makes sense to me here.
Well, nothing you say makes sense to us here, so, yeah.
Aliens.
Exist. First off the bat.
Go on.
Well, they do. They just do, but yeah. But they do. I mean, there's lots of videos being released all the time by
the US. Trump administration.
Well, it was happening during Biden. US governments all around the world. UFOs exist. Anyway.
Okay, so flying men. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, other than they've invaded Earth and killed us, or they've invaded Earth and brought some terrible... I mean, what sort of plague might they bring with them? Do you know what I mean?
Well, the problem is, when we think about that, it's all about films. You know, films have always shown that aliens come down and kill us all. Or, you know, you think back through history. I know we're about the future here, but if you look through history and, you know, like the Spanish going over to South America and just like taking everything.
And killing everyone.
What if they came over and they're like, we've got some stuff to sell? And you're like, bloody hell, there's like 60 million aliens that we can sell.
Exactly. Hey. Opening up new demographics, the consultants would be rolling around in this.
Well, exactly. The green pound.
The green pound. And it wouldn't just be the green pound, because within that, you'd have demographics as well. So you'd have like, you know, an alien Hindu, you know, equivalent religion type thing, goth, you know, and then you've got these ones that are like a bit smaller or a bit taller or whatever. It's demographics within demographics.
And then they come and go,
come in, aliens.
Here's how you teleport. And we're like, cool, here's an air fryer. And it goes back and forth, you know.
And here's time travel. I see you've already met Andy.
our leader. That is a wrap on this week's episode, Taking On the Future of E-commerce. As I mentioned previously, I think we did a pretty good job with the history. Do you think we've done as well with the future?
I think the future is a bit unknown, really. I think there's like 3 years, which is nice and short, and I don't see that much changing in 3 years. 10 years, I think, is a little bit more fun. I think it's going to get a lot more autonomous than that. But really, we don't know whether we've won until 10 years' time, so we'll have to sort of come back. Well, I'll go back to my original kingdom.
You've come from the future, so you can tell us. Did it work?
So I'll go back there. And do you know what? I teleported just before this episode came out.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
That's a shame. You're a robot. You're definitely a robot. Right. Thank you for listening. If you made it all the way to the end of that nonsense, like and subscribe and listen to it anywhere you get your podcast. We'll be back in the future with more interesting things to talk about within e-commerce. Thanks for your time. We'll see you next week.